right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bold Expressions. Today I have with me entrepreneur, podcast, poet, recording artist, entrepreneur, just all around, doing it big out here in these blurred streets. Young Deuces, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just staying busy, just trying to create content.
I feel you. Yeah. Now, as you all know, with pretty much every guest I've had on, met Young Deuces in the Kevin Stage Discord, and I knew he had a podcast. And I knew that he was doing some big things. He's talked to people he's talked to aforementioned Kevin Stage. He's also talked to people like Phil Lamar, who was the voice of Static Shock, Samurai Jack. Who else? Static Shock. Green Lantern from the Justice League. He was on Futurama. Yeah. He's talked to comedians, to hear CT. I listened to the CT episode. So what I knew going into this, the Deuces was on his thing. I was like, oh, this dude is doing his thing. I did not know, people, exactly how much this young brother was doing until I was like, okay, well, let me check out some of his stuff to see his style of talking, to see what type of things he's into. When I tell y'all, this dude has a legit network. I wish I'm using my phone right now, so I can't bring it up. I listened to all my stuff on what's it called? Google Podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm on Google Podcasts. I'm like, okay, what's this? Okay, Geekset Network. This man has a freaking network that Google be like, we can't just put his regular stuff. We got to create a network. When he created a network, he has the Geekset podcast with him and 3 of his friends. Was it NWO Nerd World Order? Yep. Wrestling podcast, one-on-one with Deuces, who he just got through talking to. The episode he had up Saturday, I couldn't finish watching it, but I watched most of it. He had with the legendary Kel Mitchell from Keenan and Kel. I'm like, well, damn. I'm like, all right, well, let me. Like, well, shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I was just like, dang, this dude is really in his bag. He had an album. I'm trying to think. Did your album already come out?
Yeah, it did. It came out last year. Man, when did I drop that album? I think it was April, actually, matter of fact, or a little bit in April. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I listened to an interview you did with I cannot think of the young brother's name. I want to say Chill Chat or something like that.
Yeah.
And I listened to your thing with him, and at the end, he played one of your tracks. And I was like, this is really good. It's like, a lot of times when you hear certain people, it's like, okay, is this going to be like a real song? Or is this going to be like a SoundCloud rapper type of thing?
Yeah.
Like one of those songs that you hear on the track of like some low budget movie, and they're like, all right, we need to put some rap to this. It's like, what kind of rap? Then rap. Just put somebody talking fast to a beat, and you really don't need to know what the lyrics are, what they talking about, or even if it even goes with the topic of what the movie is about. There's a love story, but we talk about shooting people and selling drugs in the song. So, quick tangent. The people who listen know how I am with my tangents. Do you remember those songs, especially used to have especially like early 2000s, there'd be a R&B singer, they'd be having a great song, and then in the middle, they got a rapper ain't rapping about nothing. They talking about this song.
Yeah. I used to hate that, man. Because it never went with the song, and it always threw off the vibe,
Right.
Yeah.
That used to bug me so bad. I'm like, what is what? I don't
That's
know.
why I always appreciated people like LL Cool J, even Fabulous when he had came out, because he used to do, like he'll do a song with an R&B artist and he'll still stay on topic. Like there was certain artists that stayed on topic that that you can always count on. Like I said, LL, Mace, like I said, Fab, even Ja. Like I said, we clown Ja, but we need to roll that back because Ja gave us some
Right.
some classics.
Yeah, Ja's underrated. Is as they say, the history is written by the winners.
Yeah.
So 51. So it's written that Ja was a clown.
Yeah.
And we just went along with it, like we weren't just playing his stuff a few months ago.
Right. Like that's crazy. And then not only did 50 made us get him out of here, but then he went and did the exact same thing that Ja was doing.
Bruh.
Like that was wild.
That is some straight. It's like, hold up, but isn't that what you made fun of Ja for? It's like, hey, I told him not to do it. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Speaking of which, this song kind ain't it? It's like, hold on.
Yeah.
They got 21 questions, and it's all about. It's like, hold up, bro. Hold up. You gonna make a song, but you get punked in jail and crying over making good, but you up here like. I'm sorry. As everybody know, I go on tangents, but yeah,
I love it.
I see Deuces on his grind. Geekset podcast. Listen to, like I said, one you did with Kel Mitchell, one you did with CT, who I'm a big fan of. I'm seeing all these people that you're getting. Comic Storian. I saw you with Benny. I was just like, how you get Comic Storian? Yeah, I was like, that's what's up. And one tagline that I see of yours, and first of all, I love all the work and effort that I see put into your podcast in all of them. Like on your one-on-one with Deuces, the whole thing of like it's a video game. It's like just the small details. It's like one-on-one with Deuces, go down to 2-player, and then characters is like just those little things, and it looks like Tekken, the logo, and
this season is Tekken. If you notice, each season that I did, so after the first 2 seasons of the show, I came up with the idea. I said, you know what? I want to give it more of a theme. And so the season 3, I kicked it off and it looked more closer to Street Fighter. Season 4 looked more like Mortal Kombat. And in this season 5, I'm going with a Tekken style theme.
Okay. But yeah, it's all, do you do that yourself?
Yeah, actually I do. So and that's that's why I'm super proud about it, because like when I launched this interview series, like I really just wanted to interview people, and one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to give it an identity, because I was like, I know that everybody's going via Zoom, and so I was like, how do I make mine stand out and where it looks like when you see it, it looks different. And so I came up with I was like, I'm going to create like an overlay view. And if you watch those first 2 seasons, it's a very basic one. There's really not nothing to move in. It's more of just a regular screen overlay above the images. And then as I grew, I said, I want it to be a little bit more compelling. I want to have things moving. I want to have this intro style. And so I started just creating more and creating more and creating more and building more. And when I created the first select the character screen, I was like, yo, this is going to be dope, because it really looks like you selecting the interview or selecting the character. And yeah, I just kept on building upon that, and then just kind of playing around with those themes.
That is awesome. And I've been doing most of the talking so far, but let me give you the floor and let you tell people about who you are, where you're from, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I go by Young Deuces. I'm part of the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together in one place. And we started off as just being a podcast where we podcast every 2 weeks, and we were just talking about just geek topics. But our draw was is that like when you listen to us talk, it's just sound like how you and your homies talk, or like that barbershop talk. I used to say that all the time. Like I listen to all these geek podcasts and I love them, you know what I'm saying? Because they give me the knowledge. But the one thing that I felt was missing is that it didn't sound like me. And I said, when me and my homies talk about Goku and Naruto, or we talk about Batman versus Superman. Oh, am I low?
No, you're good.
Okay. Or we talk about like Batman versus Superman. It sounds like barbershop talk. It sounds like we debating Bron and Jordan. And I was like, I want to bring that aspect to our podcast, but on these geek topics. So then we started doing that. And then the first thing that we ventured out was like, we're going to hit these conventions. So we started hitting these Comic Cons and these comic book conventions and anime conventions around the Midwest. And like I was like, yo, I just want to make sure I take photos of people. I want to be of the culture. So we started doing that, reporting on it, and then we started doing that more and more and more. So then when the pandemic hit, the goal was, I was like, we've been building up really good traction. We've been working with Crunchyroll. We was out there covering C2E2. And I said, I don't want us to lose traction now that everything is shutting down. So let's get creative with the shows that we created. And one of the shows that we created was, one-on-one with Deuces. And I was like, I want to speak to a lot of these people. I know a lot of these comedians and and content creators that I think is really dope. And they got a really dope story. So I just started reaching out, seeing who would have time to hop on Zoom, and that way I can interview them. And then throughout the pandemic, we also created our Geekset Rewind, which was our rewind show where we watch anime, talk about it in real time. And our Sofrito Poppy's review, which live on our show. He's our collector. He collects action figures and stuff like that. So he did his reviews of these action figures. So it's like we've just been doing so much stuff within the culture. But before all of that, again, I was a hip hop artist. That's my first love. I go by Young Deuces. I'm part of a group called Streets of Young Deuces, which is my cousin. And yeah, we started putting out music and we made some good traction, man. We started working with the affiliates. It was on So Def Radio. We were the first Milwaukee artist that was in the Source magazine. We was down at the Ozone Awards and Southern Entertainment Awards, and we just kept on grinding and working that out. And then probably like 2016, we was like, yo, let's just knock out some solo projects. And for me, I've always been a fan of albums that had a story. Like Adrenaline Rush is one of my favorite albums. I loved Good Kid, Mad City because it reminded me of a day in Compton. Like I felt like Kendrick brought you into his world, into that day. And so I always wanted to do like a concept album like that. So my first solo project was called my Unapologetic Black Thoughts. As you can see with my background, with everything that's going on with the social injustice and, Black Lives Matter, it was something that like I felt conflicted with a lot of things that were going on. And then there was a brother by the name of Jay Anderson that passed away at the hands of police. He was sleeping in his car in Milwaukee and they gunned him down. And I didn't know the guy, but when everything was going on and when that happened, it hit home and it kind of like, I don't know, struck a nerve with me. And so I remember one day being on Facebook, and I was writing all these long statuses, but I was deleting them. I wasn't posting them because I couldn't get my words out how I wanted to. And so in that process, I was like, let me just use how I know the best way to get my words out, and which was just through my art. And so I started writing, and I didn't want to make a song, so I kind of wrote it in a spoken word format. And then I said, I want to put this out. So I recorded it, put it out, and it got a really good reaction to it. But the one thing that I felt was, I was like, man, I feel like I got out what I wanted to say in the moment, but I got so much more to say because in my head and the way I view it, the plight of a Black man, we go through so much because we got to be strong, right? And then we got to be resilient, but we deal with that type of racism just by how we look. And the issue that I had was, I'm like, man, you're angry at it, but like, I don't want just violence, or I don't want just us to be angry. I also want peace. But then I also have to take a look at ourselves, and it's like, yo, but we got a lot of inner stuff that we working on as well, man. There's a lot of colorism. There's a lot of inner hate. There's a lot of hatred towards Black women. And I said, I want to address all that. And I was like, that's the unapologetic thoughts of a Black man. We live in this world where we fear for our lives, but we still got to be strong in the light, where we love our Black women, but there's still a lot of people there's a lot of Black men that are not necessarily doing right by Black women. And so it's like I wanted to address that all. And so it's like when you listen to that album, the plight is it starts off very militant. It starts off very militant, and then it has like a calm to no, I'm sorry, but it starts off militant, and then it gets to like really anger, and then it gets to kind of like a calm of like, yo, but we need answers, and it kind of gets to hopefulness. And it was like I wanted to take people on that journey, and I think where I really fell in love with my first album and what kind of helped me on my path and where I'm at is that out of all the music that I ever created, that was the first one album that people reached out to me that I didn't know. Was like, yo, this song that you did, yo, this album, yo, this part, it really meant something to me. And then I kind of felt that. I was like, yo, that's like, I never had that feeling from my music that it really meant something. And then at that point, I vowed that I was like, I'm never going to make music that doesn't mean something. So every time that I put out music is going to have some type of theme, some type of message. I'm going to make sure that I use my voice in a powerful way. And, you know, I became, you know, an ally of so many different people. I became an LGBTQ ally. I became somebody who is like, when Black women speak, like, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to make sure I shut up because I want to hear how they feel, because I'm like, yo, how can I be the best supporter of them if I'm always trying to contradict, you know, if I'm always trying to be like, you know, when, you know, there's a thing that happens online all the time where, you know, Black women will say, you know, Black men are not supporting us or not doing this. And a lot of Black men's first instinct is like, yo, but you know, not all Black men, not me. And I'm like, yo, I get it. Like, I get it. We can feel that way. Because I feel like I'm truly an ally and that they are not speaking about me. But in that moment, now is not the time to counteract what they're trying to say. Same thing was like when we were saying Black Lives Matter, when police was saying all lives matter, blue lives matter, it's like, yo, we're not saying it now. We're just saying like right now, Black lives need to matter and y'all need to listen. We need allies. Y'all need to listen. So it's like, I don't know, that first album shaped so much for me and shaped my walk of life and where I'm at. And then it's just like, you know, with me, I'm a very ambitious person. I kind of go after my goals. And so I kind of use all of that to fuel everything that I'm doing. With Geekset, we wanted to change the narrative of the Black geek. A lot of people think it's this socially awkward person who can't get the guy or the girl, when in reality is a lot of people like me and you. So it's like, I wanted to change all of that. And that became one of my passions and my goals is like, look, I'm gonna show y'all what a Black geek can do, you know what I'm saying, and still be cool and not be what y'all thought it was. I'm gonna show y'all what Black love looks like. I'm gonna show y'all what Black support looks like. Like, I took all of that on, and then it just kind of shapes the way that I walk in life. And so that's Young Deuces in a nutshell, man.
That's dope. I gotta say, I was a victim of, not a victim. I was a culprit in that whole thing. I had at one point I had to apologize to two female friends of mine because we'd be having conversations and they'd say the thing, and then, like you said, my immediate reaction was to be like, hey, you know, not all. And it's the thing of, obviously, if we're friends, if they were talking to me, they're not talking about me.
Yeah.
And this is not your time to defend yourself. This is your time to listen. And if you're so, you know, if you're trying to, you know, be an ally, be whatever, if they're talking, it's one of those things like I can't think of the you know, textbook term. It's a thing of commonality of language, pretty much, to where when you and I are you know, you and I could be talking about something, you're like, you know what I mean? You know, it's like Black people have like this thing. Yeah. It's like, you know, I don't know how you are with the N-word. It'd be like, man, this.
I'm with it. I mean, shit.
Yeah, but it'd be like, man, this nigga Craig. Be like, oh, man, like this nigga Craig, and it's just certain inflections, certain things you can say.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be like, you know, it's like, oh, okay. It'd be like this nigga. It's like, yeah, right. You feel me? And then it'd be, you know, and so we had the thing of, obviously, you can tell by my speech that I'm not talking about you or whatever. Mm-hmm. So this is not your time to jump in, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're more worried about trying to defend yourself than actually listen. And
Yeah.
if that's what you're doing, then you're not listening.
Yeah, it's again, it's like it's just making sure that in that moment they feel heard. The way, you know what, I used to tell people all the time, and it's funny because like the way you like how you say like the inflections of, you know, when it's like this nigga, right? So I used to tell people like, you know what I'm saying, like there be moments like me and you, we can be out like, you know what I'm saying, kicking it or something like that, and then let's say, you know what I'm saying, we driving, and then like let's say you when you come outside, you know what I'm saying, you notice somebody sideswipe your car or some shit like that. So
Right.
now you tell me, you be like, dog, these niggas out here hating on me, dog. Like
Right.
I know that you're not talking about me, but in that moment, you never gonna hear me interject. I'm like, hell yeah, man, these niggas out here hating, right?
Right.
And that's the same thing when women be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever they feeling, whatever fueled that anger or that frustration in the moment, now is not the time to combat and be like, well, you know, it ain't me, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
now it's time to be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? What do you need? You know, what can I do to be a better ally? What can I do to listen and help out, or whatever the case may be? Sometimes they just need to vent and get it out. Maybe they don't need a man's perspective or anything at that moment. They just need to get it out and curse out whoever pissed them off in that moment. So it's like,
because our thing is to I need to fix this. Like what okay, because
yeah.
a lot of times we have the thing like I don't know if you're married or if you have somebody. A lot of times we're hearing something be like okay what do I need to do?
Yeah,
That's all. Like we don't gone over this 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Am I going to the store? Am I fixing this? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And
But
it's
like
just like
exactly what no, I'm saying exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's a natural instinct, right? We all as men, that is our natural instinct, but that is behavior that we have to work on, right? And so it's like, I'm never saying that I'm perfect. I'm never saying that I'm 100% with it, because I do still fall into those same tropes of doing that, trying to be Mr. Fix It. But it is something that I actively try to work on, where it's like, you know what? I can't always be the fixer. Sometimes I need to just be the ear. Sometimes I need to just let this person get it out. So it's like, and I think that that's the main thing. We're so instinctively ready to defend when we have to change that behavior, and we have to change that. It's situational. We have to know when we have to defend, and we have to know when we have to listen. We have to know when we have to interject. We have to know when we have to support. Like, it's just like, and that's a constant thing that we have to continue to work on. And again, you know what I'm saying? I commend a lot of brothers, you know what I'm saying, that has been. There's a lot of people that's definitely working on that, you know, walking that path. Like you just said, you had that experience with 2 women that you know, but you worked on it. It's something that you apologize and you're working on it. That is the growth that we need, and we need to highlight that more in the Black community. And you know, so
and when no way, and not just highlight, because of there's just happened to look up above me. There's a quote from Malcolm X. It basically says, I can't say it because of the light. Is it don't be in such a rush to, you know, condemn those who don't think the way you do, because there was a time to where you didn't think the way that you do. And one thing that happens because a friend of mine, she showed me, you're into games. Have you heard anything about the whole controversy with G4 and everything going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay. For those who don't know, there's this female developer. Her name is Frost. She came on. She went on this as people I would say a cringe rant going about sexism in gaming. Funny enough, a female friend of mine was one that was just like, this chick tripping. And and you know, it was one of those things that happens to where it's just like, yeah, there is sexism and racism, and sexism in gaming and everything. It's like, you know, the female protagonist got to be, if you play any type of D&D game, the women are half naked. It's like, how are they wearing armor and they ain't got on no clothes?
Yeah,
and they're the women you would see. The physics engine was developed off of seeing how well the woman's chest would bounce. That's You know, there's nothing like that going on. They ain't fixing the hair. The hair is cropping through the shoulders, all this stuff, but the chest gonna be bouncing right. And so it's like, yeah, there's stuff like that. Now, they were saying there was some stuff that she said that was just flat out wrong. And it's just like, oh, and she said some other stuff that was kind of extreme. And so there has been kind of this backlash. Like, one of the dudes who was sitting next to her was going like, yeah, you say that. Somebody put out a video, it was just like, you're talking about telling her to say that, yet you have stuff on your own channel to where you're doing some of the same stuff that she's talking about, but you're sitting here. So we do have to be careful not to fall into the trap of, you know, being an ally to whatever group, whoever it is. But also remember that, you know, if you are doing it, to recognize it and just be like, okay, I'm trying to change. I'm not there yet. And also being understanding to people who aren't there yet, but who are trying.
And that's the biggest part. That's what I think. I said, because, you know, like what that quote that you said is 100% perfect, because if you are the loudest person, like if you change learned behavior that you've had, and then you become that person that's like, oh man, you ain't, you doing that, you right. Like, you know what I'm saying, you become that person, right. Then yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, it forces people to dig into your background, right. And find it, because it's like, no wait, why are you going so hard, and you being hypocritical, right. Now if you are honest and saying like, yo, you know what, I know that I wasn't there, but I'm actively working. I think that that's the biggest thing, like, you know what I'm saying, that I learned during this you know, this walk of life that I've been on, is that, like, you know what, just because I may have caught on something a little bit faster, or just because you know, I changed my behavior a little bit earlier than the next person, that doesn't mean that the person that hasn't changed yet is wrong. Now, I am going to definitely try to say, hey man, let's change it. You know what I'm saying? And try to advocate for it and be a person that has that conversation. Now, if you are fighting against it, or you are being a person that's detracting from it, then of course, yeah, I may talk a little bit sterner about it. You know what I'm saying? I may have a little bit of different perspective on it. But if you are a person that, like, if you are, like, you know what I'm saying, let's say if you wasn't there yet, and me and you was having the conversation that we are having, we have a good tone right now, when there's not an argument or anything like that, I'm more receptive to saying, all right, you know what I'm saying, let me help brother, you know what I'm saying, let me help brother Carl to get there, you know what I'm saying, let me tell him, you know, what, you know, my journey and how I got here, and what my perspective is. And I think that when people see that, then they don't, like I said, they don't look for the ills from it. They don't, you know what I'm saying? And if they find something in the past, then they can truly be like, all right, well, yeah, this is what Deuces was saying that he changed from. This is how Deuces used to be, but this is what I'm seeing that Deuces is doing now. And it's all about your actions, not just talking about it. It's like, okay, yeah, Deuces talk about it, but what else does he do? Oh, you know what? I see him working with a lot of women. You know what? I see him, you know what I'm saying? You know, I can't employ people, but I see him giving people opportunities on his platform. Right. I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, same thing with the LGBTQ community. Like, oh yeah, I see him supporting the rallies. I see him there. Like, again, like I said, I'm not perfect. I don't have the answers, but I am trying to do the work to show the change. And so I would hope that if somebody ever was to find anything in my past, then they can base it off of, well, okay, this was 10 years ago, what Deuces may have thought, but in the past 5 years, this is what I'm seeing what Deuces is doing, or whatever the case may be. And that's, I think, when you're honest with, like, okay, I'm working on it, and you're not being a person who's pointing the finger, then people can take that. And then, like I said, they don't look for those ills. They don't look for trying to find the scandal and everything like that. It's all about being honest with yourself and honest with how you are changing yourself.
All right. And when you say the whole thing about changing and digging up stuff, it makes me think about the whole Kevin Hart thing, because there's the thing of, okay, there was something that happened in his past. Mm-hmm. He, you know, supposedly corrected it, but then you have people who didn't. Sorry,
it's all right.
Who didn't? I don't say appreciate or care about whatever he corrected. They were just like, at one point in time, you were this, mm-hmm. and had negated all the time in between, to where they hadn't seen or heard anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I think like that, in that point, it is a thing to where it's like, well, it's not fair to judge him on something now to when this was over a decade ago. Like, if you had an issue, like, he's done all this stuff, but now it comes to a point to where you want to try to pull somebody's card. And I think that is one thing to where people feel is disingenuous. As far as the LGBTQ plus community, I'm trying to be respectful, but trying to remember all those letters sometimes is difficult. The way I try to be an ally is when issues come up, like in comics, the current Superman, John Kent, he came out as bisexual.
Yeah.
Is he bi? Yeah, he's bi. Tim Drake Robin is bi. And, it's all these things, and people are upset. And the way I try to be is to think about, it's like, okay, when black people have issues, how do I react when certain people come at it like this?
Yeah.
So I try to think of that. So I try to think of, okay, for what I have to say, if this was an issue about black people and somebody said whatever to me, how would I feel about that? And so I do try to be like, and try to think more of it on and argue for it. It's like, my only issue is, does it come out of nowhere? It's like, are you changing a bunch of stuff just for this one thing, and it's not really going to be?
Yeah, I see.
Is all of a sudden is this aspect going to be a main thing in this character's personality? Right. And it's like, well, if the main point of somebody's personality was they was always chasing women, and it's just like, you know what? I think that I prefer men, and then they're always chasing men. That's just like, well, that's
your main thing is it pandering or not?
Right.
And so here's the great thing about when you try to be an ally, right? And the information that you learn. With me, like I said, I had that same thought process. What's the base of my allyship became, I said, I know how it is being a black man to be discriminated against. So because of that, I can never see another marginalized, discriminated group and say that their walk of life, whatever they're dealing with, is invalid, because I know how that felt when people said that about me. So like that was the base of it, right? So then where I really kind of started learning a little bit more is, in our lives, we run into people from all walks of life in all communities. So I started asking questions and started listening more. And this is a couple of things. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, and I'm gonna bring it back up. Okay. When you was talking about the Kevin Hart situation, I was confused as well, because I'm like, okay, Kevin Hart, he's obviously doesn't think like that anymore, and he did the apology. So I couldn't understand why he was still getting flack. But then I would talk to like community leaders in Milwaukee, or people that I know that is, in the LGBTQ community, and really see what they thought on it. And just like how we have extreme people who are extremely militant that were like, hey man, you got to kind of pump the brakes, bro. Like, I get it. We need this, but like that person is not necessarily on that. Like, we can place that energy somewhere, this place. There was LGBTQ plus people that I talked to who were like, you know what Kevin Hart is doing now, and the people that he employs and he works with, and his moves and the things that he does now, yeah, we actually can see it. Yes, there are people that are extreme who are demanding more for Kevin Hart, and that's just like with any community. Same thing. It's like, yeah, the media, of course, they're gonna place the extreme one, right? They're gonna pick the person who has the biggest issue with Kevin Hart. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. When we were saying Black Lives Matter, they would get like the most extreme militant person, and we're like, yo, that's not our only fight. Like, yes, we need to be militant in certain situations, but there's also peace that we want. There's also fairness that we want. There's also, we want, there's rights that are not being upheld. Like, there's a lot of things, right? So it's like, when I think I say this all to say, like, yes, you have a good base root. I would encourage you, like, to ask the questions to the people that you know, man, the people that you work with, people that may be in your family, people that you know, because you'll see, like, the media does twist a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person that I'd rather get it from the person. I'd rather get it from somebody within that community and say, hey, is this the general census? Is the community really upset at Kevin Hart? Because the media is making it seem like he's the worst. And so like I that's how I learned the most about situations like that, is to kind of understand it.
And and that's what you said, actually talking to people, and maybe it's just the places I'm looking at, but like that is one of the things that irks me the most. When I'm in, first of all, one thing, this is our first time interacting. One thing that you know about me, I hate the phrase social justice warrior. I hate people talking about cancel culture. I hate the phrase woke.
Yeah.
These are three. First of all, if you hear any politician say anything about woke or cancel culture, then you already know that it's done. Then it doesn't matter. If these old fools are talking about it, that means that it's already been done like 9 months ago. And they're just not catching up to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for anybody watching, I have a camera up here, but I also have my screen down here. So if you see me and people be like, he ain't even paying attention, it's like I'm looking at the bigger screen right here, but the camera's up here. So, just bear with me. This is my first time doing this. So, but I hate when I'm watching a video and then you have people who I hate seeing people talk about. There's this one guy I watch, Trey Rags on YouTube, funny dude, and I'll be wanting to send some positive in the comments. Oh yeah, this is funny. Yeah, they can't cancel my man, and I'm so happy that somebody finally called it up. It's like, who are y'all talking about is trying to cancel this dude?
Right?
Like nobody is trying to cancel him. Like what are you talking about? Yeah. It's like he makes videos on YouTube. It's like, well, he got his TikTok thing. It's like, that's TikTok. Everybody know TikTok is tripping. It's just like, but he still has if you still have a platform, then you're not canceled. Yeah. And that's the thing, people. And it's also like, okay, who successfully has been canceled? In the way that they talk about it. Louis C.K. pulled his junk out, masturbated in front of chicks. He's back on tour.
Yeah.
Other people, hell, people are still bumping R. Kelly. People, I saw a dude that said, fuck these hoes, free Cosby. People aren't, the whole cancel as way as people talk about it, and plus the way that to where you get on Twitch, you get in Patreon, if you have the people willing to listen to you, then you can really never really be canceled. Because there's always people. And that's the thing people don't want to get. It's like, well, you don't see so-and-so. It's just like, well, are you really checking for them?
Yeah.
It's like, are you really checking for this person? Or you just want to cry out talking about some cancel culture? And a lot of times people talk about cancel culture and being woke to where, and it's funny to me, and it reminds me of the thing, and once again, what you were saying about black people, that's why I don't understand a lot of people from our community, their issue with gay people. It's just like, you're black. I don't understand anybody that can go talk about the police and different things that black people go through. Look at that F word. Like, bruh, like, what are you? Yeah. It's like they ain't doing nothing but existing.
No. And you know what? Quiet is kept. Like black women, and a lot of people from the LGBTQ community, have been the ones that have been going the hardest for us.
Right.
Like it's crazy, and that's why it's like, for me, it's a double-edged sword. It hurts my heart to hear the disdain that certain black women have for black men, and it's nothing to the women that are saying that they have that disdain. I'm hurt that it got to that point because, again, like you said, I don't want to be a detractor and say not all men, but I know that it's not me. But I'm like, dang, I'm not going to invalidate what this woman has went through. Same thing with the LGBTQ plus community. I grew up with an uncle that was gay. I have a cousin right now I am so proud of my cousin right now, El Halo. She is a person that is leading the community in so many ways in Milwaukee for the LGBTQ plus community has I mean, to the point where somebody did a mural for her in Milwaukee, right? And so it's like, you know, I had this in my family. So when I hear, you know, people from that community say that, yeah, black men don't, you know, or cis men don't protect us. When they say Black Lives Matter, it does, you know, they don't include us. Again, it hurts my heart to hear that, because I'm like, dang, I know what I'm doing, but I know exactly what they're going through, and I can't invalidate them. So it's like, it's crazy, because it's like, it's a weird feeling to feel, because it's like, man, like, you know, I want to change as many people as I can, because I know, and it's like, I meet people like yourself who have the same thought process as me. So I'm just like, see, it's not all of us, but it's like, we need to make sure that we need to amplify our voices more, and we need to show that support more. And that's why, like, I tell people all the time, when they be like, you know what I'm saying, like, you know what, yep, I'm aware, when they be like, oh man, you will pick me, yep, I'm gonna pick me for black women, you know what, I'm gonna wear that cape. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna be extra, and I'm gonna be extra loud in it. I'm gonna be extra with it. I'm gonna make sure that I talk about it, because that's what's missing. I feel like that's why. I feel like, you know, like, there's so much. The people on the other side are louder than us. The people who are doing the ills that we're like, it ain't all of us. They are louder than us, and so we need to be louder than them and continue, so that way, you know, we can change that narrative. And that's, you know what I'm saying, that's why I love talking to people, you know what I'm saying, like yourself, like that, because it's like, you know what I'm saying, I can be like, yeah, you know what, I hear you. I hear you. And you know what I'm saying, let me introduce you to some people who are actually allies, and let's talk about ways that we can support y'all better to be allies. You know what I'm saying? And then we can change this narrative of it, you know. And but it's just like, it's one of those, like, I'm gonna throw in some nerd stuff. It's definitely Attack on Titan. We are looking at the Titans, you know what I'm saying, who are going against black women, going against the LGBTQ plus community, and we're like, damn, all right, you know what? We still got to do it. We still got to fight for the town. You know what I'm saying? Now we know, like, this is a feat. This is a daunting task, because of how big and how large the opposite is. But it's like, we got to do it. We have to, you know, and that's why, you know what I'm saying, it's just like, these conversations that me and you are having are so important, because the community needs it. They need to hear us talk about it and say, hey, we weren't perfect, but we're trying to change it. They need to hear us like, hey, you know what, even to today, even in this conversation right now, there's things that me and you don't get that we're still trying to figure out. But the world needs to see that we are attempting to figure it out. I think that's the biggest thing. They need to see that we are trying to be better in that sense of that. And I want, you know, so it's like, I'm glad that we get to talk about stuff like that.
Right. And and leave it to me, and everybody who listens to my podcast know, no matter what I'm talking about, at some point I always bring up some politics or something. So I meant to be talking about some geek stuff, but no, this dope conversation. And there was a word you used that I love. You said pander. Mm-hmm. And I love the word pander, because when the other side use it, they'll say, oh, they're just pandering to somebody, or they're just pandering to this group. And my thing always, you don't care that they're pandering. You're just mad that they're not pandering to you. Mm-hmm. So every other time to where there was all white heroes, the women didn't solve anything, you know, or they were kind of secondary. It was all straight people. You were cool.
Yeah.
There's this podcast I listen to called Double Toasted. You should check them out. I think you'll like them. The main guy Corey on a podcast he had years ago on another channel. He was a gaming one. They was talking about Resident Evil 5, and he was talking about the fact of they've never had a black main character. The first black character, the main character they have, is this chick, and they're in Africa. She's the lightest African I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And to where I'm thinking, like, at first, my first time before I played the game, you know, I was like, okay, well, she's African American. Like, nope, she's African. Every other African in the game is way darker than she is. Mm-hmm. But he was just talking about it, and some fan was just like, I'm sick of this one-sided black pride, which, first of all, that's just a stupid comment to begin with. It's just like one-sided black pride. So if it's two-sided, does that mean that you're proud of me being black too? Like, I'm not sure what one-sided black pride is. But yeah, according he's like, man, I'm just talking about the game. The guy was just like, well, why do you have to see yourself in games? It's just like, it's like that right there. And it is also, I'm big on quotes and phrases and stuff because a lot of times you find out that a lot of them are true in life.
Yeah.
For people, and I'm always going to butcher it. For people who are in power, equality looks like oppression. So,
ooh, that's a solid quote. That's a solid quote.
so the more that things are changing, the more that the people who used to see themselves and they're seeing, they don't see it as inclusion. They're seeing it as like, well, you're taking from me. It's just like, well, no, I'm not taking from you because the overall majority is still of this.
Yeah.
It's just that this other thing, like was talking to somebody, I watch the CW shows a lot less because it's just after a while it's just I can't.
I still hold on to the Flash. I can't stop. That's the only one.
I'm watching at this point. I'm watching the Flash just to see how it ends.
Me too.
Because it's like, God damn. Dude.
They made Barry. What pissed me off of what they did with Barry this last season. I said we went through all of this, and you still doubting your powers if you can do it.
Nigga, if you don't, bruh.
Like, what? Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
That last season.
Bruh, I have had. If you ever check out any of my previous episodes, me and my friend Raven, her and I, all of those episodes, pretty much titled "Raven and I Destroy the DC Universe." Because I remember the first time we was going to be talking about how great Batman animated series is and how this. I started talking about Batman versus Superman, Justice League, and I was like, none of this shit makes sense. It's like, see,
I'm a DC comic fanboy.
Yeah, I know because I listen to UNCT and I'm just like,
and I love. And to me, the animated movies are top tier.
Yeah,
it's just the live action we can't get right.
Right. Even some of the animated, because most of the animated are good. Half of them are most of them. I'm not even gonna say half. 80-something% of them are Batman movies.
Oh yeah, they're all Batman for sure.
It's like, God, it's like you have so many heroes, but they just committed. And my friend and I, was talking about a lot of people are feeling Batman burnout.
Yeah,
and I sent her that tweet. Sent her that. No lie, the next day I sent her a promo they have of a new Batman origin by this author, and I was like, you know what?
DC would
tell the origin of the same 3 superheroes 500 times.
You want to know what's funny about the geek community is that there's two things that if you bring up, it'll cause the most argument. If you say that Goku will solo anybody in anime, like people love to hate Goku and Dragon Ball Z. And if you say Batman with prep time, that'll cause an argument because that's the argument. Right. Everybody says Batman with prep time can beat anybody. And I mean, Batman does have a contingency plan for everybody, but it's like those two things will cause arguments like no other in the geek community.
The Batman with prep time, or as they call them, God Bat. Thank you, Grant Morrison, because that's when he started writing Justice League JLA at the time. We'll say like 90s or around the 90s. It was like a little bit after Death of Superman when he had the mullet.
Yeah,
into Blue Suit Superman, whatever. That's when the whole prep time. I was watching Death Battle. They had who would win. Batman versus Black Panther. I was like, Black Panther got this. He is stronger, faster. Mm-hmm. He's just physically better than Batman.
That is true.
His suit, is is, you know, high tech. It has high tech things. His claws could rip through Batman's armor. He also has gadgets he can use. He can see in the dark. He has heat vision. He has all these things. He's also he's also a genius in his own right.
Yep.
And is also a master of martial arts. And I'm guessing a couple that Batman probably doesn't know, since, you know, since Wakanda doesn't exist in the DC universe. And lo and behold, Black Panther beat him. Oh, well, Batman would have just used Sonics to disrupt the suit. It's just like, how would he know that works on his thing? Well, he would have prepped. I was just like, so you're giving prep time to Batman, but you're not giving prep time to Black Panther.
Yeah,
that's the thing that Batman fans don't want. It's one of those things to where, how can I put this? It's one of those things like in I don't want to say badly written, but like kind of amateurish, like mystery movies or whatever. It's the thing to where when they want somebody to appear smart, they have to lower the intelligence level of everybody else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or the thing is like, or to have somebody appear is this one thing I hate. Somebody is smarter than everybody else. When the person, they pull out a plan, they're just like, I knew you was going to do that, and so I blah 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 blah. It's just like, so you were able to just, you're so smart that you were able to figure out to the smallest detail. And my issue is that a lot of time it's just like, you never see the person interact with the other person. It's like, so how are you able to figure them out like that?
Right.
It's like that. It's like I hate that type of stuff.
I mean, it's definitely plot armor. It's definitely plot armor that they give Batman. But see, that's why I rock with Batman. I do like Batman, but realistically, I'm definitely putting Black Panther over beating Batman. Yeah. But to me, the best iteration of Batman out of the Bat family is Nightwing. Nightwing is my favorite DC.
Bro, Nightwing. I always say Nightwing is Batman perfected.
Oh yeah,
he had the same trauma, only he had somebody to help him guide through it, to where Bruce didn't have that. He grew up with the Titans, so he learned teamwork, he learned leadership. Yep. Nightwing, I want to say, besides Superman, Nightwing is a person that people in the DC universe know, and they will go to, and they will follow him because they trust him. Yeah.
Where Batman, you kind of go to Batman because you're like, all right, I know he gonna get it done, but you're like, but he kind of dig. I don't really want to. Just because he's too stubborn,
right? And that's what makes me bad about the DC animated movies. All these goddamn movies, y'all screwed Nightwing every chance y'all get. It's like, God.
Yeah, they definitely do.
It's like, bro, like, what's up? Give my man some shine.
Yeah.
It's like, y'all just, and another thing is that irritates me when they do Batman is that I hate anytime a character has some progression and then they push that progression back just to do a story that somebody else has already done. It's like, how many times is Batman going to learn, I need to trust my family? It's like you supposed to be as smart as you are. The fact that you have to steal, you built up the loner has 4 freaking Robins, 3 Batgirls, his cousin is Batwoman. He has a little black dude being a sidekick. Yep. He has all these people. Yeah. It's just like, I need to. It's like tactically, it is just stupid to alienate all these people. That's the thing that irritates me. Like, have you?
Well, that's because he's a psycho. See, I tell people all the time. As much as I love Batman, I do not gloss over the fact that he is psychotic. Like
he has issues.
That's why him and Joker is such a great, because literally one of Joker's biggest reason for doing what he does is he wants Batman to realize that we are the same. Him and Joker is literally the same, except Batman does have a bit of justice for him. But if Batman stopped worrying about justice, he would be Joker. He would be just
right. Batman knows I have issues, and there's a certain lane I know not to go into.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you know, is people like, but no, it's just like I like to people who because I mentioned earlier Comic Storian, and I know you've mentioned Comics Explained, him and Rob. There's another group which Sal is not Sal, well that's named the person, but Benny is actually. Have you watched any of this channel Comic Pop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their channel, and I like. Whoa!
Oh.
Oops. Bear with me for a minute, people.
All good.
Oop. Okay.
There we go.
God said, "Let there be light."
Yeah, back in the money.
All right. So once again, this is my first time with this setup, so I'll get it down.
Bro, listen, let me tell you, if you go back and watch my interviews, the first and wait, since you watched Kev on Stage stuff and All Dev Digital, did you watch the last Squad cast where it was only showing just like one person talking at a time?
Well, no, but I listened to the one today and had to hear talk about it and why I was messed up. Yeah.
So my very, very first interview in 101 with Deuces, I did that on accidentally when I interviewed Mickey Fax, the battle rapper. No. And so I like when you watch that interview, you constantly see like when like it's similar like when Mickey's talking, you see him talking, but when he's not talking, I had to put a picture up because it kept on because I in Zoom there's two different views. There's speaker mode and then there's gallery. Right. So if you have it on speaker mode, then it only shows who's talking. If you have it in gallery, you get to see both screens, and it gives you the opportunity to edit. So it's like, yeah, man. Like I understood exactly when it happened in the moment. I knew exactly what happened. That's why I was like, I can't say anything because I went through that as well. So I say that to say this is your first episode. Yeah, you're gonna have some hiccups, but watch by fourth, fifth episode, you'll have this down perfected, man.
Hopefully, because normally I don't, because I've recorded. I have plenty of just me talking to people. I'm getting myself more comfortable with being on camera.
Yeah.
Like me putting myself on camera and letting people actually see me is something I'm still in my head getting myself used to and being like, it's okay, you're going to be okay. Because I'm not really, I don't know. It's a thing I have to work on myself.
It's a process, man. I understand. Yeah. Trust me, 100%.
But and a friend of mine used to pick on me. She was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking, we're going to be having this thing, and you have your Bitmoji up here. I don't what I look like. We'll like it's not going to be posted. You're okay." But
you're talking about Comic Pop.
Yeah, Comic Pop. I was just checking the time because I don't want to keep you any longer.
Are we good, man?
One of the comics they talked about was Batman Universe, because they have the show Back Issues, which I love watching. I'll binge that all day. And Batman Universe was cool because it still had the brooding Batman, but when he talked to people like Green Lantern and people, he wasn't a jerk to them. Yeah. They're his friends. It's just like, I can see Batman being a jerk to, villains. It's like, but these people are Justice League. Like, he loves Alfred. That's like his second dad. Yeah. Gordon is probably his third dad, or maybe like real close uncle or something like that. Right. As far as like how they look at people. Yeah. And like Superman's his best friend. It's just like, I love any comic to where they have Superman and Batman and show them how close they are.
Yeah, like there's been a couple of comic book runs where like Batman died or Superman died, and you see them both like Batman really was affected in the death of Superman. He's just like he's like, no, he ain't dead. Yeah, like no, like he's not really. Yeah, like
the episode of Justice League, which was top tier, shows, and the episode to where Superman got sent to the future, and he was with Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
And like Batman was still just looking like, it's like, something's up, and they're just like, he's just not gonna let this go. He's just like, no, I'm not gonna. Nah. Yeah. He tried to hide it. It was just like Batman didn't think you were dead. You could tell Batman just wanted to punch him in the face, like, shut up. Yeah. And it's like I don't have many DC comics. I have a run on Superman called it was a year-long story they did from Jeff Loeb and drawn by Jim Lee. It was kind of like the DC version of Hush, to where it was like a year-long story because Jim Lee drew that too.
Yep.
No, Loeb didn't write that. Brian Azzarello. The story was not as good. I just go back to it for the art because the art is, it's Jim Lee, so it's phenomenal.
Yeah, of course.
But the stuff like that, like I have that. I have the Batman Superman comic when they reintroduced Supergirl for like the third time. Yeah. And in that, it's cool because you have the caption, the caption bubbles or the caption to where when it's in blue, it's Superman thinking. When it's in like kind of grayish black, that's when Bruce is thinking, whatever.
Yeah.
And I love, when they're talking, but they're talking about the other person. And like there's this point to where something's happening and like there's an issue and Batman's going like, sometimes you need a little sunlight in the dark. He's talking about how much he does appreciate Superman.
Yeah.
And then later on, there's like a huge fight. They have Supergirl. They're training her on Themyscira because who better to help train your teenage female cousin than all of them. And they're there, and Darkseid sends like an army of clone Doomsdays to fight them. And so they're just like, okay. And then they're just like, oh, they're not really alive. So we're just going to wreck shop. so Batman is blowing them up and all this stuff. And he's like, we've had our things, but, when something happens and I need them, Diana and Bruce step up with no hesitation. Yeah. And he's just like, you would think, with how he is, seeing him with a battle axe would be out of the ordinary until you remember that he's trained with every weapon known to man. And it's just cool, listening to them talk about each other.
Well, that's
just different things.
That's the one thing about Batman that I really think is dope. And you know what? I equate it, even though, like I said, like Batman and Superman, they definitely got mad white privilege behind them. But the one thing that I often say about Batman, and it's kind of like, growing up in the hood where like there was, the drug dealers, the gangbangers, and they know that you have a better purpose and you shouldn't be about this life. They stray for it. They do the stuff. That's what Batman has how he always treated Clark and Superman. He was like, look, you are the hope. You are the symbol that people see that they feel hopeful. My symbol was more so fear. It's not hope. So it's like if somebody has to get their hands dirty, Batman's like, let me do it. You don't muddy your hands.
Right.
I'm a muddy my hands for the sake of the Justice League. I want the people need to be hopeful of you.
Right.
And so
I shot the nigga in his throat and I feel bad about it.
I always respected that about Batman because it's like, yo, that makes sense. Like, yeah. Everybody can't be as vicious or cutthroat as Batman. So, and Batman, he takes that on. But that also adds to his psychoticness. It's like, bro, you putting a lot on you right now. Because he's not only doing it for Gotham.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I got to handle something real quick. Give me 1 second. I don't want to, because I got something I need to go in on, but give me 1 second.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, psychotic Batman. Go.
Yeah. No, I was saying that adds to his psychoticness because it's like, bro, he's not only doing it for Gotham or just Metropolis. Like he even went interstellar with it. Like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? If Darkseid come or whoever come, I'm gonna be the one because y'all still got to be the hope and everything like that. Like, bro, you making yourself crazy, dog.
Right. He legit did that in that comic. Mm-hmm. He took him and he's just like, he's like, okay, well, I set all the bombs on your planet to go off, and I put them in this thing. He's just like, you lying. And he's like, the code is he tells him the deactivation code. He's just like, you mother. And he just like, he's like, well, no, wait, if it was Superman or the Amazonian, I would think they were lying. He was just like, but I think you'll do it.
Yeah.
But okay. So let me see. The latest thing that I've seen that I listened to was when you guys were talking about the end of Loki, and CT was on there. Have you watched? First of all, I feel like I had to get this off my chest. I was listening to y'all go over WandaVision. Mm-hmm. You were going over the theories and whatnot and everything. When I tell you it was killing me, when y'all was going over things, I was just like, because the theories I wasn't tripping off of, because it's just like I have the hindsight of listening to this like a year afterwards. But y'all was talked about I can't think of the guy's was Sofrita Poppy what's his name?
Liv.
Yeah, him, Liv, and the other guy, and they were talking. First of all, it's like, and I just heard the other I don't know if it was you or somebody else, like as I was listening to, I was at work, I could hear the frustration of the whoever else was trying to talk, and they kept cutting them off. I was like, I know it's that thing where it's like, yeah, we cool, but for real, y'all need to stop cutting me off.
Hey, so there's two constants on our podcast. One, we're going to create some theories. We're going to make some wild theories and stand on it. Like, it's like, hey, this is it. This is gonna happen. Watch.
10 toes down.
Yep. And we're gonna cut each other off, man.
That was just like. And at one point, I know they were doing it just to mess with them, because they'll ask us something, and then they'll start a random conversation. It's just like, y'all just picking on them now. And you was like, at some point we have to make a podcast, y'all. Like, at some point.
Hey, but the funny thing is that, so you said you would listen to it, but if you watch it, when we get in those heated conversations, now a thing that I do is I sit there with my hand raised, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just wait until y'all see my hand raised, so I'm gonna wait so y'all know that I got something to say. But then my brother, so Didge is actually my brother.
Okay.
And he hates when I raise my hand. Like, he hates it. So I do it now on purpose.
Like, now you'll notice me. Acknowledge me. You like wrestling? Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me. Yeah.
But no, I was listening, and I was just like, and they was talking about, it's like, yeah, so apparently the Superman that was back then is the same one now, and they were talking about different things. I was just like, no, that's not right. And I was like, well, maybe somebody correct them. And it's one of those things when you listen to something, it's like, that's not. And like, I'm up here at work about to get in trouble because I'm going to be like, that is not right. It's like, why don't it's just like, well, yeah, DC is like, well, Marvel's like, well, yeah, that's the same. Captain America's like, okay, yeah, that's right. It's like, yeah, that's the same Namor. It's like, yeah, Namor is really old. Like, yeah, that's right. And then Human Torch is the same one. It's like, no, nigga, that's not right. It's like, no, those are two different characters. Yeah. It's like, one is an android that was built, and then the other one is the Fantastic Four dude. It's like, it's not the same. It's just like, And I was just like, and it was one of those things to where it got me so bad. I was just like, I need to find this episode and go in the comments and be like, this was not. I'm up here trying to pantomime my dumb ass up here is about to stop the recording. But no,
but what's funny about when we first started the podcast, that exact reaction that you had, people said like, man, I find myself either yelling or agreeing or talking with you guys like I'm in the studio. And I said, but but that's the environment that we wanted to create. When you at the barbershop, when we at the barbershop, you getting lined up. You may be hearing two people debate something, and then they say that one thing that you like, wait, hold up. I gotta say something now. I wasn't saying something the whole time, but dog.
Scottie Pippen is better than LeBron. It's like, hold up.
Exactly.
It's just like, they say something crazy. It's like, Chris Brown can outdance Michael Jackson. It'd be like, well, no, wait, I need you to get out my shot, bro. You're gonna be up here lying. You're up here talking that bull. Damn. But real quick before I let you go, I do want to ask you, like I said, we're talking about the Marvel shows and whatnot. Before we was talking about Flash and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cause the whole thing with the Flash, him they're on season 7 or 8 and you're still unsure about your powers.
Yeah.
And then it's the thing of, it makes me mad when they make a point, be like, yeah, you're faster now than you were back then. Cool. So how you keep letting people get away? Man. I turn around, all of a sudden they got super speed too. It's like, and what kills me is just like on certain episodes they'll be like, they're searching for somebody. He'll come in, I searched the whole city. Dude, what? You searched the whole city and you couldn't find them? It's like, did you really search the city?
Did you just run around the vicinity of it or something?
It's like, I don't think you really searched the city. It's like, if that's the case, how come you let the is and it's one of those things to where it's like, yeah, and people be like, yeah, but it's kind of hard. It's like, then don't wreck yourself in that situation. If it is hard to consistently display the level of his powers, then keep it at a level to where you can remember it. Bless you.
Thank you, man.
No problem.
Yeah.
And also keep a Bible. All shows should have a Bible, because it gets to the point to where the fans and to your credit, when you was talking to CT about the Power Rangers, which I'm a huge Power Ranger fan, and that's something that but there wasn't time to where black people could be like, yeah, man, I love the Power Rangers. Like, man, that's corny. It's like, yeah, shut up, man. It's like that's the reason. Wait, martial arts.
Before you get into what you got to say, have you read Shattered Grid?
I plan on it. I know what happened thanks to Benny, but I plan on getting that. I plan on enlarging my Power Rangers comics.
The comics
I have to be careful because I just bought some comics today. Comixology is a bane to my. I bought some Miles Morales comics. I will say that is one thing I'm happy of. With that, the ability to, I got like 2 Black Panther runs. But no, I got more than that. I got probably 3.
Hey, gotta get them, man.
3. I got the run with Siri. I plan on getting her the other series she's in.
Yep.
I plan on getting. I saw they got on sale the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. I plan on getting that.
Oh yeah.
I got Young Avengers because I love I love their first run, and I love the fact that they were the leader Patriot. I was black kid. His family. I love that. And there was a run. There was a Mighty Adventures run, and I'm kind of mad they didn't promote it more, seemingly, but it was pretty much all minorities. It's like the first run was pretty much all. I'm trying to think. The only quote unquote white person. There's like 2, because it was Luke. It had Luke Cage. Mm-hmm. A young Afro Latino guy, the new Power Man. He's kind of been trained by Iron Fist. Mm-hmm. There's a Latina chick, her name is White Tiger.
Oh yeah.
Monica Rambeau. Falcon was on there. At the time, Superior Spider-Man, they didn't know he was Doc Ock, but he was barely on the team before he quit. And She-Hulk and Blue Marvel.
Yeah, that's a beastie ass team.
Exactly. And I originally got it because I wanted to read more comics with Blue Marvel on it. in it because I heard about him. I saw him. I was like, oh, this is a dope character. It's like, and it's like he should be on more stuff. And so I got that, and then he was on the second one, and I got the Ultimates. The Ultimates with him in it. It was him, Black Panther, Monica, Miss America, Chavez America, and Captain Marvel. And that was a dope team, and that was real different from like your standard like superhero. They dealt with like they turned Galactus from the devourer of worlds into the life bringer. So he became gold, and he started going out and like bringing back to life planets that he had destroyed.
Oh, that's dope. I haven't read that, man.
Yeah, because basically what they determined was the Galactus that we have now is not what he was supposed to have been. To where because for those who don't know, this is about to get in my geek bag.
I'll get in it. Let's go.
In Marvel, and this is the thing that tripped me out about the episode I was listening to that was freaking me out. DC has had multiple reboots.
Oh yeah,
to where they had a crisis, and it was like, okay, we got to a point where continuity is kind of messed up. It started, I want to say, like in the 80s, where Crisis on Infinite Earths, to where they had all these things. They was just like, okay, we're going to erase this. We're going to keep these people, and we're going to give them new origins, and that is where you get the things like Crystal, the Crystal stuff for the Kryptonians, because up to that point they hadn't used the whole crystal technology and stuff for the Kryptonians. It wasn't until the first Superman movie came out and they used it then. And then after that, they were just like, okay, well, we're going to update his origins, and we're going to include the stuff that came from the movies. Batman got a little darker because beforehand,
people forget.
Batman was goofy.
Yeah.
But then he did kind of get back to the darker one. But people were still thinking about Adam West. And then it was Dark Knight Returns, and then that's when people got the whole, Batman's, dark and gritty. Then the Batman 89 movie, and so that's, it was from a period. Then they had another small crisis and different things. They've rebooted a few times, and that's, tell your peoples. Okay, it was Crisis on Infinite Earth. They really didn't have another big reboot until they were going. They had little continuity things. They changed with Zero Hour, whatever. They changed some characters like Hawkman, whose his origin is so convoluted.
Yeah,
it's like
we just talked about that. We was talking about because we was going over who was the weakest Justice League member, and we collectively landed on Hawkman. We said at least Hawk Girl actually goes to battle. Hawkman is always like not. So we came down that Hawkman is the weakest Justice League member, like even weaker than Elongated Man.
I mean, with technically Elongated Man is like, Mr. Fantastic. He stretch. It's hard to actually hurt him because if you try to stab him, he can just stretch his body out the way. It's actually a dope power that, once you think of it. But no. So they get to a point to where, like Flashpoint, Barry runs back in time, got to stick up his ass about something, runs back in time, saves his mother. And this is once again a thing of writing yourself in the corner and not sticking with a plan. Because they had a plan, their Dr. Manhattan took 5 years from them, but then they didn't want to stick with that. So basically he went back in time, something happened, he fixed it. When he comes back, that's the new 52.
Yep, that's the new 52.
Yeah, everything's shortened, but once again, they didn't have a concrete plan because, everything's new. Superman's parents, he didn't grow up with his parents, so he's feeling more alien. He's kind of darker, but he's still right. However, Batman still had 5 Robins in the span of that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, well, how did that happen? Don't worry about it. He still had his back broken. He still did all this. Also, and they didn't do this till later, Superman still died in that continuity. But, you know, we're not going to get onto that. It's like, but none of that makes sense. Oh, also, everything that happened with the Green Lantern also still happened. Yep. It's like, but it doesn't make sense if y'all doing it like that.
And so then they did Rebirth.
Right. And the thing with Rebirth is that's still the new Rebirth is still the new 52.
It really is. It really is.
It is still the new 52. It's just like, okay, well, we did these things, people didn't like it, so let's bring back some things that they didn't like. I mean, let's bring back some things that we took away.
Yeah.
It's just like because they got rid of Wally West.
Yep.
And they made him, the new Wally West was black. It's like, well, why did you do that? It's like, why did you take away a fan favorite character, changes, and it's not like they took away some arbitrary character. It's not like, okay, this is on another Earth, and on this Earth, Wally is black. It's like, okay, no, we took away this person to explain to some people how stupid of a decision that was. Everybody loves Justice League. My sister, one of my sisters, who's not even in the comic books, she was confused about the Green Lantern movie because the only Green Lantern she knew of was from the cartoon.
Oh, so she only knew Jon Stewart.
I didn't even know she watched the damn cartoon. But just the fact that her perception of the Green Lantern was from this cartoon, that at some point she watched the Flash that we all know and love is Wally. That is Wally in the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
For so long, Barry died in Crisis on Infinite Earths back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that means from the 80s to 2000s, Wally was the Flash.
Yeah.
He's one of the few characters who you got to see from a teenager to an adult. He was the first person to graduate from the Teen Titans into the Justice League.
Yep.
And they just erased him for whatever reason, and and so they had Rebirth to try to do whatever, and they still didn't quite get it right because there was some other stuff to where they just changed, but to where they still didn't explain it. But anyway, in Marvel, they've never rebooted. It is literally the same continuity. They just slide the timeline.
Yep.
To try to modernize it in different ways, and they'll retell certain things to be like, okay, well, before when Peter had the symbiote, he was people were in bell bottoms, but we got to slide the time a little bit, so now they had the big booty TVs and whatever. It's like so they got to slide it like that. Galactus and that's one thing you learn in the Ultimates comic that they were. The universe ended, at least to that point, I want to say like 7 or 8 times. And like each time he was born at the destruction of the previous universe. He was a scientist, and his desire to keep learning to survive brought him, over to the current universe. His name was Galvin. And he was in his little ship. he was fermenting. He was growing. Something happened, and it awoke him before it was his time. So since he woke up before he could finish consuming all the cosmic energy that he needed to be whole, he constantly hungered. Yeah. So that's why he was destroying planets. Even though that's another retcon because he actually did that to keep the Celestials from doing whatever, but But yeah, I'm sorry, I went on a big tangent there. I'm sorry.
Hey, you said that you said at the top of the podcast you are famously known for your tangent, but there were great tangents. It's one of the reasons why I love Benny and Comic Historian. Yeah, is because you get that history. Like as much as I love Marvel. And Silver Surfer, I did not know that about Galactus. So like you gave me something that I didn't know because Silver Surfer has always been one of my favorite Marvel characters. And, so it's like, and his story and and where he came from, and him being a herald, and just like that whole path that he walked. Like, I love Silver Surfer, so like that actually adds way more to him, and so now I'm gonna look for that run that you was talking about, because I definitely want to get more information on that.
Yeah, it's written by Al Ewing. The first arc is drawn by Kenneth, Richard or something. Mm-hmm. The second part, because it's Ultimates, and then there's Ultimates 2, and it's still part of the thing, and you have to be careful because they named it Ultimates. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get it because you'll end up with the Ultimates from the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
The artwork in the second part, if it wasn't for the people involved, I'm not really a fan of the art, but I like the story, so that's why I kept going.
Okay.
And it's like some really broad cosmic stuff, and it's just like, you have to be ready for some crazy stuff to happen. Yeah. And like I said, I like the fact that they have people like Black Panther. Like I said, like my man Blue Marvel. For anybody who don't know, Blue Marvel is a black super. I think if Denzel was to ever join the MCU, he would make a good Blue Marvel. The guy who played Black Lightning, he would probably make a good Blue Marvel. Hell, if what's his name? If Idris Elba hadn't already been Heimdall, he would have been a good Blue Marvel. But yeah, Blue Marvel is, for those who don't know, people compare him to Superman because of the whole super strength flight, whatever. He is different in the fact of he was a Marine. He is, first of all, he's a lot older. He was a superhero during the civil rights. And basically, he was doing all this stuff, saving the world, was a friend of the Watcher. He is literally, the Watcher has a child.
Yeah.
And he is the Watcher's, he is the godfather of the Watcher's child. And like, he's a dope character, and he's smart. And his thing is like, even when he gets, quote unquote, retired from being a overt superhero, he still had adventures, but he saw them trying to use science. He's intellectual. He's strong enough. In one of those issues, he one shot the Ultimate Hulk. Like, literally. Hulk jumped in. He said something about being strongest. Mm-hmm. And my man was just like,
I doubt popped his ass.
And uppercutted him. And it was over. Hulk was like slumped, and like it was over. And I was just like, damn.
And the fact that it was Ultimate Hulk shows you for sure that power that Blue Marvel has, because Ultimate Hulk ain't no joke.
Right. But yeah, it's like I just love all those, but once again, tangent. Talking about the shows. The Flash is there, but have you watched Hawkeye? What are your thoughts on Hawkeye? Because I know you were so high up on Loki, it was just like, if it don't meet this, then whatever. So what are your thoughts on Hawkeye?
So Loki legit, it just gave me faith in Marvel's TV shows, because I was like, yo, it surpassed what I thought it was going to be. And Hawkeye, same thing. Like, I got more respect for Hawkeye from the show than the movies. Like, and it made me go back and watch the movies and kind of look back and look at Hawkeye's role. And I was like, yo, Hawkeye actually was way doper. And for the longest, as far as my Arrow people goes, I had Arrow as a better person than Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. I am now Hawkeye over Arrow.
Arrow. People, there's certain people who, whenever people bring them up, I'm like, y'all need to start putting some respect in my man's name. We already talked about Nightwing. Cyclops is another one, because he's been done dirty by those movies.
He has.
Because those movies were basically Wolverine and his friends, because they ain't focused on nobody else but Wolverine.
That is true.
And Hawkeye. It's like, he's the weakest Avenger. It's like, yeah, the dude with bow and arrows is like, it's just like, but, and my thing has always been like, okay, you look at it, it's like, okay, he doesn't have a magical hammer, he doesn't have a super soldier, he doesn't have Tony's suit, he doesn't have the super strength. It's like, so to me, that would make me think that if he's on the team with these guys, then that must mean he's pretty special, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's like you don't say that about Batman. It's if Batman has the
Right.
cars, it's just like he has other stuff. It's like he's just not a freaking billionaire.
Right.
This dude grew up in the damn circus, and it's just like
and what the show showed us is that he also he's behind the thought process of his arrows. Right. He is the one coming up with, okay, I need this type of arrow, like those trick arrows. That is all him. That is all Clint.
Right. and with no way, and the thing of y'all worry about the wrong stuff. Like there was one scene in Age of Ultron. Tony is like playing darts, and Clint just looks. It's like that takes that coin trick that he had. That is talent.
Talent.
It's just like that is some natural talent.
But also what he told her, like I said, like people missed out on some of the things. She was like, well, you need a rebrand. You need to do this. He was like, why would I want to be seen? I don't want to be seen. Right. I'm best when I'm up in the air. I'm behind. Like that's my role. He's like the ultimate sniper. So it's like, yeah, man, you start appreciating who he is and his roles that he played with the Avengers.
Right. And when one thing I loved, and Benny and the other people, or I would say Double Toasted, pointed this out, and I watched it kind of late because I was waiting on my wife. I'd be like, I want to watch this with you, and I kept having to work overtime. I'm just like, I'm just gonna have to watch this by myself because I can't find the time to sit down. Is his wife was not nagging him.
Nope.
She was his partner. He's just like, I got to do this. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's this amazing concept to where the significant other of a hero understands that, hey, some hero stuff is going on, so I got to be away for a minute.
I used to hate that. I always hated that trope. I mean, but that's why in this Spider-Man, this run of Spider-Man, this MJ was the best MJ because she was about it.
Right.
She didn't give him no flack. Like once she found out he was Spider-Man, she was just mad. She was like, "Why you just didn't tell me so we can figure it out?" Like you trying to figure it out on your own. I'm with it. Like let's go. Let's make it happen.
There's another stupid thing. Like the current Spider-Man, which I still have not seen, is based off this thing. One moment in time.
Yeah.
To where Peter reveals his secret identity, and it was another thing of management wanted something, and they wanted to push it because you have no idea how long they try to break up Peter and MJ in the comics.
Oh yeah.
It's like
I know.
At one point they had her go to Hollywood and doing her actress thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it's just like, damn. It's like, and it's the thing because they try to do the same thing with Superman because they're just like, well, it makes them old. It's just like, well, it's like, no, it makes them functioning adults. It's like it's okay for them. It's just like, well, you can. It's hard to write stories. It's just like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. The stories that you had with him just being a bachelor weren't that good either. So what's your point?
Right.
It's like, how about you challenge yourself and actually be like, okay, I have a wife, I have somebody I love who loves me. You know, we can write the story. Them not being a nag or whatever. Because MJ was great, and yeah, she's like, she knows who he is. She loves him unabashedly, and she's not like Black Cat who loves Spider-Man but hates Peter Parker. It's like, no,
right?
She loves Peter. And she understands that, who he is. And, it's not one of those things like, I want you to quit. And it's just like, if you really love me, then you would understand why I have to do this or why I feel propelled to do it. And it's like, hell, I met you being Spider-Man. So how the hell are you going to tell me to stop doing
Man. But you know what's funny? It's like they always do that. They always have the person who will accept it not being the one that they ship. Because even in Batman, like he gets over Talia. Like he loves Talia al Ghul so much. He loves all the people that he loves, but the one person who truly accepts him and he refuses to accept is Selena Kyle. Him and Catwoman are like they would be perfect, but like it's just like that's like taboo.
my friend, hates him and Catwoman together.
What?
She hates it. She hates it with a passion, and I laugh every time. It's just like because they really do have a toxic ass relationship.
Oh yeah.
It's like Jesus. It's just like I remember there's this one underrated Batman cartoon, Batman Brave and the Bold.
Oh yeah.
It was great because it wasn't trying to be old school, the Batman animated series, but it was lighthearted, swashbuckling Batman. It was DC animation, so the animation was crisp. It was great. It was amazing. But you saw him teaming up with people like Blue Beetle, Aquaman. It was funny to always see the little rivalry between him and Green Arrow.
Yeah,
and they have a lot of classic takes on heroes. Like Green Arrow looks like Robin Hood.
He does.
Nightwing. Well, actually, he showed up as Robin before he showed up as Nightwing. He had his adult Robin costume to wear, and then when he became Nightwing, he had the disco collar. So it's very classic type things. But there's an episode to where I want to say Alfred is like writing fanfic or something about what happens if Bruce settled down or whatever. And then at the end of the episode, it's like, you find out it's a story that Alfred is writing.
Yeah.
He's just like, I have to go, apparently Catwoman is on a crime spree. He was like, oh, that's why your cape is ironed really nicely. And he didn't say anything. And he just walks out. And it's just like, yeah. But yeah, there's, and that goes once again to what we were saying about speaking for women. It's always the women who are written like that. So that you don't like the woman. So you don't like the woman. There's never a female hero who has to deal with a male counterpart who is constantly telling her not to be the hero.
Oh, that is right. I didn't even think about that.
Right. Is you don't have Steve Trevor being like, Diana, you don't have to. It's like, shut your weak ass up. Like I'm super powerful.
Right. Hey, they definitely don't, because even in the Spider-Gwen run, she gets to be Spider-Gwen. Like, yeah, you're right. There's nobody telling them not to.
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And that just goes to show, and just also just real quick, since we're on the topic, they can have whenever they change something, they're changing them to be more manly. It's just like, or they're changing them and they're still sexy. They're just not overtly sexy the way that you think they are.
Right.
It's like Miss Marvel went from thigh-high boots to the little singlet to a full-body costume. And she cut her hair, or sometimes it's long, sometimes it's cut, whatever, because she was in the military. So it would make sense that, finally it's like, and that's the thing people forget about her character. Was legit. It's like there's so much to these characters' histories that people don't know about. Like I didn't know for the longest hell that she used to be a reporter too. And it was just like, it's like her origin. She's been through. Marvel is in desperate need for a Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The problem with Marvel though is like they have their Trinity. Like if you want, like they have their Trinity. DC has Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. If you want, you can take it as Marvel's Trinity is Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
However, they do want a woman. It would be perfect to have Carol Danvers be the Wonder Woman, because the problem is Marvel has a lot of really strong female characters.
Yes, they do.
However, most of them are on teams.
Yep.
Invisible Woman is on Fantastic Four. Majority of the strong women people think about, they're on the X-Men. Storm, Rogue, Jean Grey.
But here's where I think I theorized that they should lead with Storm, and they should have this moment of Wakanda Queen Storm. So a lot, because I was thinking of, like, we was talking about it, like the lay of the land right now, you know what I'm saying, the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, and everything. And if right now they still have not yet said the word mutants, they have not really introduced X-Men until this, right? So I said one of the reasons why MCU launched off, I thought, so flawlessly was that Iron Man was popular enough where you're like, oh, I know who Iron Man was, but he's not the most popular person in Marvel at that time, right? And so I was like, that's dope that they took a character that was popular enough and do it. I was like, if you do that with Storm, who is popular enough, like, oh shit, that's Storm from X-Men. We all know she's X-Men. And then talk about this history with her and Wakanda and everything, and get into that before you introduce X-Men and really establish her power on who she is and the queen that she is. I think that would be a really great launch point to kind of get into the whole mutants and everything like that. That's what I said, because I was like, that's the one thing that I was like, you know what? When DC was trying to do the extended universe, and why they really fucked up is they didn't lean in on Cyborg. Like, yes, we know the big trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but when you talk about the Dark Side War and you talk about that tech and everything, Cyborg plays a huge part in that. And if you are going to X him out, then yeah, you're going to miss the heart of the story, because that tech is in him. And like, so it's like, if they would have leaned in, if they would have went with the lineup that Snyder laid out after the Justice League, going to Cyborg story and everything like that, before we get to Flashpoint and all these other Wonder Womans and everything like that. I mean, Wonder Womans and everything like that. I think that DCEU would have had, maybe not as successful as Marvel, but they would have had a better run. But once you X'd out Cyborg storyline, and then you kind of fast track to try to get, you know what I'm saying, Batman versus Superman, and then fast track to the next Wonder Woman, is like, bro, it's not connecting, because you took out the heart and soul. That's like, you know,
the fact that they have a Flashpoint movie for the very first Flash movie. I'm hearing more people excited about who's going to cameo in the movie than they're talking about the dude who's the main character.
I don't even like Ezra Miller's Flash.
What is up with the running? I hate it. I hate it. I watched The Eternals recently.
Oh,
I'm just like, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
She was giving him hands to Icarus. She's like, I'm not as strong as you, but I run fast enough. Yeah. That's a lot of momentum. I can throw and just. But no, that's. I think, first of all, I don't really like, and that's the thing of New 52. I don't really like Cyborg on the Justice League, because, like I said, once again, Cyborg started as a Teen Titans. Anybody who watched the Teen Titans cartoon, you know, that's where he started, you know, in the 80s, whatever. I have some Teen Titans runs with him in it, to where it was people like Superboy and Tim Drake Robin, Bart Allen as Kid Flash, and him being like I've been Titan for years, so let me kind of be a big brother to you guys and help them. Put him on the Justice League, it felt like tokenism, because we need a black, because we're not doing Jon Stewart, we're not having Martian Manhunter come in and pretend to be black or whatever. We have the black guy, he's on there, but most of the time we're just gonna have him do the tech. We're gonna have him fix stuff and do whatever. He's gonna be in the background. We have the big splash page. He's gonna open up boom tubes and do whatever, and you know, carry out, you know, be Hope from Driving Miss Daisy. He's gonna do all that. He's gonna shuffle all these other white people everywhere. But on the most part, even in all the DC animated movies, Death of Superman, he had a few speaking roles. He showed up. He'll say something in the beginning. He'll say something quippy, like at a little meeting or whatever. He never has a significant role. He'll probably figure something out, but he never had any like that's cool moments. He shows up just to get his arm ripped off, and just so they can be brutal without actually being like, oh, he murdered somebody.
But you know what? The Dark Knight's run they gave him his shine. Right. Because he was the one that, you know what I'm saying, like when the Batman Who Laughs was on his chair, like they had to lean in. They had to lean in on Cyborg in order to defeat him because he was the only one that could that was able to tap into that, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I love that Dark Knight's run. Like I tell people all the time, like the Murder Machine, Batman Who Laughs, and then what was the one when he merged with Cyborg? What was it called? No, the Murder Machine was the one. It was Murder. Oh, Red Death. Oh yeah,
Red Death.
Those are my 3 favorites. Red Death, because the way that he turned to Red Death was a brutal. It was so brutal.
It's so stupid, but yet so cool at the same time.
I was like, yo, he just strapped him to the front of the Batmobile and just like it was just brutal. And then the way that they drew it, I forgot who drew those panels, but the way that they drew Barry disintegrated, I was like, yo, this is vicious.
Right.
This is like
and the funny thing about those is like all these existed because Batman had a thought, what if I did this?
It was like somebody's like, you know what, these contingency plans, what if I do them?
Right. He's like, what if I did this? And then he was like, you know what, that's stupid. And then, you know, it's some cosmic thing. It's just like, well, he had this thought, so let's go down this road. But it's also thinking like, hold up, so is every negative Earth just a messed up Batman Earth? It's like, are there some messed up like Superman Earth? It's like, why is all these people?
Batman is the catalyst. He is I forgot what it was. The nucleus. What show was that where they was talking about the nacho nucleus and you got to grab the middle one to get all of it?
I know what you're talking about. I cannot think of it. Yeah. It's some. I want to say it's some movie with Seth Rogen because that sounds like some high shit that somebody would say.
Right. That's Batman. Batman is the nucleus of everything because it's like he's always at the core of everything. Evil, good, like it's just him. Yeah.
But yeah, it's much longer than what I meant to keep you.
It's all good, man.
I appreciate the conversation. I know, you know, I'm glad we got the important stuff out the way first before we could just go everywhere. We did get to everything I want to talk about, but what we did get was awesome. I appreciate you for coming on.
I'll come back, man. It doesn't have to be a one-time thing.
That's what's up. I appreciate you. Like you said, I appreciate you, like you said, for giving giving other people a platform, doing other things like the title of your recent album. You just want an opportunity. Sometimes that's all people need, just an opportunity. You know, you never know. You never know in the way that God is going to bless you to do something else.
Right.
And I've been having this in my head stuck for a minute. We're used to being the star of our own show, but sometimes we don't realize that we're just a guest star. Or we don't realize how sometimes it's like we're here to set somebody else up for their spinoff, for their own thing, you know. So you never know who you're talking to. You never know what somebody's going to be in the future. So and it doesn't do anything to gatekeep. You know, people always talk about gatekeeper. So you expressing, you want to help people and doing different things and being positive. Not just in your words, but in your actions. And like you said, and all the things I heard you on, and I agree, it's a dope thing to see people who look like us doing things. And, you hear people, and I remember talking to this one white dude who's like, I had this one black friend who's just like, he doesn't need to see people. It's just like, yeah, but there's other people who do. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that's cool for your one, that's cool for that one black friend that he doesn't have to see himself, but there's other people who's just like, I would like to be Batman. I would like to be somebody who doesn't have to be like, I'm the black Batman. Yeah. I'm the so-and-so of this character. No, I'm this character because this character is dope. Yeah. And expressing that. And sorry, real quick, because I asked somebody else.
It's all good, bro. I'm
sorry, real quick. Where are you on them making a black Superman movie?
So, because of the nature of comics, I'm okay with it, but I'm not highlighting it as much as they think that we're going to highlight it.
Yeah.
One of the things and one of the reasons why I truly love what Black Panther gave us, and it's funny because we literally just talked about this on an episode. So when we got into the conversation about Black History Month and Black heroes, we started listing all of our black heroes like in comic books and stuff that we have.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, if I had to really pinpoint like the hero that I like, you know what I'm saying? I love John Stewart, love Cyborg, you know what I'm saying? Love Monica Rambeau, you know, Storm. But I was like, the highlight that they gave us with Black Panther, they gave us, we don't need a black Superman. We don't need a black version of it. Black Panther is it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the one, that's the upper echelon. And you know, I like you said, I love like because of what I know about comics and there's alternate versions and stuff like that, I'm okay with there being a black Superman, but I'm not going to highlight it like, oh yeah, they gave us a black Superman. No, yeah, they gave us a black Superman. Cool. I like it. Let me hear what the story is. If the story's interesting, if it's the story from the comics, I rock with it because the story from the comics was interesting. But if not, I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. We got Black Panther. We got Shuri now. We got Monica Rambeau coming. We have Storm, and now people are learning more about Storm's, you know, her greatness, her queenness, and everything like that. We're getting, you know, there's dang it, well, I'm the new little girl. Yeah, we got like we have these characters now that are like coming that we're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We don't need the black version of it. It worked with Miles, and I was like, I'm okay with that, having that black version of Spider-Man with Miles Morales, but he has so much culture within his character arc and everything like that that it doesn't even seem like it's just a black version of Spider-Man. It's like, yo, that's Spider-Man as well. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? And then now that, you know, they finally did right by the McDuffie family, and now we're going to possibly be getting Static live action and everything. I'm like, yo, these are the people, these are the heroes that I want to uplift now. I don't need a black Superman or anything like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, let's get these original stories. Let's get Static Shock's story. Let's get Black Panther story more evolved. Let's get all these stories more evolved. So it's like, again, yay. I mean, it's cool that we got the black Superman, but I'm not celebrating it to the point where they think like, oh, hey, yeah, now we here. Like, that's not where I'm celebrating that with it.
The thing, and I talked about this in previous episodes, I would be more, because I fanfic a lot in my head. The way that they're talking about doing it is not the way I would be excited. Because at first they were talking about making Clark Kent black, and I'm just like, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's like, they shouldn't do that.
Right. I would rather them have, and I want to say Michael B. Jordan was talking about producing this Val Zod. I was actually looking at some of the stuff. It's like, I need to get more in that run, more of him in it. And for those of you who listen, you've heard me talk about Val Zod before. I would rather them have him on there. And once again, it's a thing of like, I would want him on there. If I could have a black Superman movie, I would have Val Zod on there because he is somebody of color from Krypton. But to me, it would be a more interesting story because, let's say maybe he was like 8 or 10. He whatever age Carl was when Krypton was destroyed. That's how pretty much roughly about the same age. They're about the same age.
Right.
So he grew up knowing, I'm from this planet. I'm from this culture. I'm from these people. I'm from this. He lands on Earth, and he's found by somebody else, and he's kind of hid for X amount of years. He's not somebody who came to Earth and grew up as an Earthling, thinking like, oh, I'm a black person, and so I'm African American. I'm dealing with these issues. Like, no, he came here knowing I'm not these people. These issues that they have, I don't have those issues. I think that would be so much more of a compelling story to be like, here's a guy who has powers, and that's why I kind of like him. And I think about, when I think about him in Blue Marvel, that's one of those things I do, where it's like, I could do something more, but how is that going to affect these people? Because and I think they tackled that real good in Luke Cage, the whole thing of like a black man being kind of that untouchable.
Yeah.
How's the world going to react because of that? And so it would be a thing of black people, looking at him for something. And there's also, and there's so many great real world things. Are you familiar with Trevor Noah?
Of course.
And he was talking to this one interviewer about something, and he was talking about the difference that Africans come into this country and the difference of perception that Africans have as opposed to black people who've grown up in America their whole lives, and the things that we get and the things that we see and the racism things that we understand that they don't see. And so I think tackling that would be so much more the nuances in that, to where, because Valzad is also a very intelligent person. So somebody who sees it, who understands it was a thing that happened, but he's never experienced it because he's been separated. And for people to see him and want him to be like, hey, you're one of us, and him to be like, but I'm not one of you.
Yeah.
We may look alike, I am not like you. Which I guess they were trying to do with the current Superman, but it doesn't work because he grew up most of his life thinking that he was a person, and the whole thing of Superman is that his humanity is that he does see himself as a human. It's like he it's like, he knows that he's Kryptonian, but he identifies more with his human half. I think the Superman and Lois TV show does a much better job with that, with their version of Superman. But I think that Superman, a black hero, first of all, how he's going to be a hero, because a pair of glasses ain't going to work for us. I'm just going to say that. There's not.
Or they got to lean into it. They got to be like, man, we know that's you, man. Right.
It's like, Negro, you ain't got a secret identity. It's just, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you wear some blue blockers and hope, or do the Marvel thing. Put a hoodie and some glasses, and you're invisible to everybody. Nobody's gonna see. Nobody recognizes Chris Evans' handsome ass because it's like, dude, I know you're Captain America. I know you. Right. I know you, bro. I saw you in New York. He's like, your swole ass in this leather jacket. I'm supposed to act like I don't know who you are. Like, whatever. But no, it's like, I think that because once again, that is that kind of pandering, the kind of inauthenticness that you kind of feel. And it is a thing to where it's like, one thing I would say, like, they recently made a big deal, is just like this upcoming Batwoman movie, they have a trans person. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, stop telling me. Just do it.
Right.
When you just do it, and then if they have something to be like, yeah, she's a trans woman, when you just do it, then that lets me know that you care more about what's going on than be like, hey, look at us. Be like, we will find out who this person is when the movie comes out, and we can talk about the person.
Yep.
But when you're doing that, you're because then it becomes the issue to where, hey, we have a black Superman, or we have a first openly trans person, and then they don't have a big role, and then it's just like, so what was the whole point?
You know why I think they do that, and this is something that I realized, it is that TV, even though they still try to be progressive, they still have the old school mindset. Yeah. Back in the day, I was watching something. It was an old show. I can't remember which show it was, but the big thing was, oh my God, they're openly gay. And it was like, that was like a whole episode and a whole thing. And now in reality, it's not that. And I think that goes back to that pandering. Like if the people that I know that's of the LGBTQ plus community, like, yeah, there's some that are really, really out there and extra and everything like that. But there's also just regular people that you're like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say regular people. Not that the people that are out there are not regular.
They present them as regular people.
Yeah, there's people that that's not the thing that they lead with. And I think that's where we're fatigued. It's like, we listen, in the world that we live in now, we are accepting and we are way more knowledgeable and we are way more like it's not a big thing anymore. Now, granted, I get it. Coming out and people of that community who have that moment, that is big for them, 100%. But as far as like a character, like if a character is if there's a character that is gay, you don't have to lead with that anymore. Like that could just be part of the person.
Like Eternals, the black dude.
Yeah,
he's gay.
Yeah.
However, you could have made his partner a woman, and it would have changed nothing.
Nothing.
And I love how they did it, because he was still just like, this is my family. I want to protect my family. It wasn't the thing of I'm gay or what. It's like, no, they're regular people. So just present them as regular people.
Just present them as people, you know what I'm saying? And then whoever their relationship is with, that's awesome. All right, they got, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, that's the thing is like, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, that would have been a flinching point for some people.
Right.
That when I watched Eternals, like when they showed the relationship on that, I'm like, all right, that's dope. He all about his family. Right. It didn't even register like, oh, he's gay, he's a gay couple. Like, no, it was like, oh, he's all about his family. This is dope. I like his story arc. I like where that's all we care about. It's a good story.
and then you have people, they're shoving it down our throats. It's just like, how are they shoving it down? They had these two characters had sex on the beach, and that threw me. I was just like, Marvel. It's like, but you didn't have a problem with that. But you had a problem with these two people just existing together. It's like, I think that says something more about you than them.
Because I definitely was like, oh, they're having sex on Marvel now? Like, what is that?
It's like, oh, and it wasn't just sex. It was like, I saw some thrusting. It was like, hold on.
I was like, okay, Marvel, they pushing the limit now.
Right. But I'm sorry. I just had to ask that. I kept it for another 15 freaking minutes.
Well, hold on. Go ahead. It's going to be another 5 minutes real quick because I wanted to talk about something. So when you were talking about like how I was the things that I do for inclusion and everything, I'm not for sure when this comes out. When are you dropping this?
I got some stuff backlog. Probably like 2-3 weeks.
All right. So by the time this is out, what I'm about to say is already rocking. So what I did was I embarked on this very, very ambitious journey in the middle of January, and I started it. And I said, you know what? I want to unite the blurred culture in ways that we never seen, right? And I was thinking about like in Black History Month, the one thing, and shout out to the blurred girl because I didn't realize it until I had my interview with her.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies, they reach out to us. They be like, hey, you know what? We want to highlight you for Black History Month, man. We love what you're doing. And you're like, oh, bet. And you get swept up in like, oh, yeah, well, this company reached out to me. I want to rock with them. And then you do whatever you do and you highlight it and everything like that. And then you don't hear from that company ever again, right? And it's like, damn. And you know what I'm saying? Like last year with my podcast, you know what I'm saying? There was 2 major companies reached out to Geekset and they rocked with us and we was happy. We highlighted it. We talked about it. But then I haven't heard from them since then. And we've been doing a lot since then. And I'm not trying to even be from a selfish point like, oh, y'all should be rocking with it. But it was like, damn, yeah, y'all really only highlighted us during Black History Month.
Right.
And so I said, you know what? I want to take away that power from them. The stuff that they put together, shit, I'm like, we can do that. So I said, I want to kick it off and I want to work with as many blurs as I can. And so, you know what? I said, I'm going to do I just want to do a quick video. I want to do what does
I saw the thumbnail because I saw the thing and it just like highlighting Black people. Yeah, I saw that earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, what does Black History Month mean to you? And over 30 blurs. I'm talking about major blur.com, blurs online, HBCU, anime, like some big names. They all were involved with it. And we did this video and it was a lot of hours, but I had a lot of dope conversations and, you know, and so by the time this is out, so I'll say it all. By the time this is out, there should be 3 videos. You'll see the first video, what does Black History Month mean to you? The second video, what makes you proud to be Black? And then the third video, Black History Month plus blurred culture, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And all three of these videos, man, they were like just really dope conversations. But like the main thing that I did is I established a contact with all these people, and I said, look, this ain't going to be the only thing that we do. We're going to do more. You know, we're gonna do something for Women's History Month. We're gonna do something for Pride. We're gonna do just random videos like, yo, the new, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this drop, who can get online? Let's hop on. I want to build this community and show that solidarity that we always talk about. I'm in this era, like, you know what? I'm done talking. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna put the beacon out. I'm gonna be like, yo, all right, look. Hey, this just dropped. We're going to be on Twitter Spaces. We're going to be on Zoom, whatever the case may be. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I've been seeing a lot of people doing it because I've been seeing on Twitter Spaces. I've been seeing, you know, hey, there's still some people still lingering on Clubhouse. But I'm like, let's just continue to do that where it's random, where it's not foreign for me to hop on your podcast and for us to chop it up about the new run in Marvel or DC, or for you to hop on my podcast or Blurred Lovers podcast or Blurred, or like I want these faces that people see us with to be a constant, kind of like how All Def did or how BuzzFeed did. But like I said, I want it to be the Blurred community. And so it's like I took on this ambitious journey to be one of the people that facilitate that. And so by the time you see this interview, head on over to Geekset, you know what I'm saying, YouTube, and see what we put together for Black History Month. Get familiar with the faces that you've seen, because not only Geekset is going to be doing it, but all these faces are going to be doing it, and we're going to be doing more. You're going to see me on here more. But like I said, like I said, I want this all to be normalized, man. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what my mission is for 2022 and moving forward.
And you know what, you said something great to where it reminds me of what you were talking about earlier. Those companies reached out because they had to think of, oh well, we need them just for this.
Yep. And
it was just a quick thing. Their actions didn't match the words the impressions that they gave you of you guys working together. And like you said, it's not a selfish thing, but it's just like, you know, they do it to entice you. But I bet now that what you say, when we build it for ourselves, watch how many people got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to do it ourselves, when people had to question, you know, people like Candace Owens and Stacey Dash, well, why do we need HBCUs? Because before you didn't want to let us in, so we had to do it ourselves.
Yep.
And now that we did it ourselves, now you got something to say.
Yep.
And now you want to talk about it or have it. It's like, no. As the Kev said, it's for black people anyway.
Yeah.
This is our thing. We're not saying that there's wrong with anything with y'all. We're not saying that we're not going to rock with y'all, but you said it perfectly. Take away the power. We're going to show you that we don't need you. Mm-hmm. If you want to kick it with us, cool. Respect our space. We're like, but we can do this ourselves. We can give our own selves the platform, we can push the culture forward in our own way. And it just made me think of, like I talked about, you know, Comic Story and Comic Pop and different things, but Comics Explain, dope black comic book person, Dope Spill Comics.
Yep.
He's a black dude. He's dope, you know, having to where the legit shared universe. Yeah. We're always going to be crossing over to talking and not be a thing to where, you know, and also be great to show what it means to be black is not everybody's thing to be black.
Yeah.
Black people don't only grow up because this is another trend that they always do in the movies. Like I love the series 24. The last one they did had a black dude, that dude who played, I can't think of the actor's real name, but he played Dre in the NWA movie. But of course,
I can't think of his name. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like, but of course, you know, his brother's in the gang. He had to make it out the neighborhood. You know, he was only able to make it out the neighborhood because he joined the army. How about he comes from a nice family, 2-parent home, went to college, was like, I want to join the military. Get out the military. I want to be a secret agent. How about that? How about we just be regular ass people, and it's not the, hey, I'm the only person graduated from my family.
Right.
Yeah, we have those people, you know, who do come from these type of neighborhoods, whatever. We also have black people who are just existing. And so it's dope to see that, and to see the stories of how we're I don't want to say separate but equal, but how we have our own stories and have our own things, but have the connectivity of, yeah, you know, I was a nerd back when it wasn't cool to show that you were a nerd. I remember watching Dragon Ball Z with my best friend Antonio, and his mom was just like, what if girls don't like y'all because of this? It's just like, and in one of the rare moments, I was just like, well, then she's not for me.
Right?
It's just like, and it's cool, like, even now, because I think you're in the Girls Can't Geek Discord too, right?
Yes, I am.
So many females are rocking with anime and different things. It's not just, oh, this is just some dudes. Like, no, some females are playing games.
Man.
They're doing, and it's just dope to see that, and it's dope that you're highlighting that and that you're showing it, and you're showing it's like, I'm not gonna wait for somebody else. Like Kev talked about, he created his app because, and Tony keeps talking about, I'm not gonna wait for these people to see me. I'm gonna put myself out there. 100%. The fan base that rock with me, they're gonna rock with me. They're gonna promote me, and just something that you said, talking to Kale, that I thought was great. I was just like, oh, it's like, bro, you don't know how much because I want to say I watched over half of it because I got past the part where he showed his commercial. Okay. You said something to touch me when you was like, God showed you this, like, instead of me going to these people, I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna do it so well. Now the game that you was trying to get into is reaching out to you.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, that is powerful right there. Like, you just don't know that. Like, how powerful that is, to where it's like, so that now the people who were, it's not just going to be the companies that were asking you. Now they're going to be begging you because they're going to see what you're doing. They're going to see how dope it is, and they're going to be begging to be a part of it. And now, should you decide to, you can be like, okay, I am, but there's going to be these conditions. And if you can't meet these conditions, then we can't do anything. And whether we do something or not, I'm good either way. So, you know, but yeah, I think that's dope. So yeah, y'all check that out. Geekset podcast, or is it Geekset Network?
Well, Geekset podcast. We, like I said, when we started, it was just the podcast. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's still just Geekset podcast right now.
All right. So yeah, y'all check it out. Let the people know if they're so inclined to find you. Where else can they find you?
Well, you can find me, man, at all social media platforms at young_DEUCES. I spelled Deuces the correct way. You can go to youngdeuces.com. That has literally everything about me, where I'm at, what I'm doing, and stuff like that. And then at Geekset Podcast everywhere, all social media platforms, or geeksetpodcast.com.
All right. You know where you guys can find me, Bold Expressions. I'm not the first one, so I don't get to have my full name. You can find me, Bold Expressions, on both Twitter and Instagram. BLD Expressions, once again, on both Twitter and Instagram. If you're so inclined, you can find me. Hit me up on Facebook. Not really connecting it, but yeah, if you wanted to shout me out on Facebook, Carl Lickens on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube, Bold Expressions Podcast. You can find a much, much, much shorter version of what I do here called Random Thoughts. I think I have 2 I need to release. One, me talking about how people love to hate on Kevin Hart for no reason. I talked about how reindeer are horrible people for Christmas. They really are. Rudolph. Those reindeers are horrible. Reindeer are horrible people. Hashtag it, send it out. Don't wait till the end of the year. They're horrible people. You know, just all those things, just my random thoughts, trailers for different episodes I've created. A couple episodes, I'll put this on there as well. If you'd like to email me, you know, shoot me a link or shoot me something at boldexpressions, 4 at gmail.com. Once again, that's boldexpressions, 4 at gmail.com. Once again, thank you to my guests. I've kept them much longer than we had talked about. Thank you to the people who watch or listen. Oh, okay. It's good up here. My screen froze. Okay, so I'll just be talking to this one. Did it freeze for you too?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, cool.
That was weird.
Yeah. My
All
connection is unstable. Okay, then my thing is telling me to go. So once again, thank you to my guests. Thank you to people who listen. As I always say, time is so important because you can never get it back. Whatever you spend your time on, you can't be like, well, I can just get that time back. No. Your time is important. So whatever you spend your time on, if somebody spends the time listening to you, somebody spends the time talking to you, somebody decides to spend their time away from their family, away from doing whatever. If they spend their time with you, on you, that is important. That's precious. That means they care about you. That means they're giving something precious to you. And I am so grateful for everybody that spends the time to talk to me, everybody who spends the time to watch any of my content. Even if you watch 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes from Amazon, from Netflix, from YouTube, that you decide to spend with me, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you so much to everybody who listen, who tell me they like it. Thank you to all the guests who come on. I am so grateful, so appreciative. Like I said, could be doing anything else, but you're here with me, so thank you. Have a good day, good morning, good evening, whenever you're listening to or watching this. And as always, don't be so busy proving your point that you forget your purpose.